one of your musketeers isn't available, you fight as the two musketeers. So here we are for our Wednesday. Welcome to our Home Bar Seminar, Wednesday afternoon, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And here we are. I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California. I'm here today with our good friend,
Gustavo Segura. How are you guys doing?
You might notice, or you might not notice, that we're missing Patricia Castillo, or Patricia Castillo, who's out showing property, or I should say, working inspections of one of her listings. And so the byproduct of being busy is that oftentimes your schedule is up in the air. So we're glad not to have her, since her listing is an escrow. We're glad to do that. And I think that says there's a lesson right there that despite all the craziness in the market, I've been in this business since 1986. It's been about as crazy and intense as any time in my life. People are still writing into offers, going into escrow and closing deals. Right, Gustavo?
Yeah, exactly. It's still a good opportunity. It's never going to be perfect. If it's good on one side, meaning low rates, then it's probably going to be high cost on the home price, right? And now it's just the opposite, where we have higher rates, but then that means that there's deals out there to negotiate as far as the property value. So there's always activity.
It's always something. I'm reminded of the famous skit on Saturday Night Live, Rosanna Banana. And it's always something. It was not lowering rates, it's this. Not a global pandemic, it's war with Ukraine. It's always something. Yeah. And in fact, that's how it's worked out. Just a quick look at the key driver of drama in our lives, the interest rates today. Here we are. And last week we said, well, rates are going to maybe go up because the bank crisis and this and that, and boom, they're down. Last week we're at 7%, 7.05, 7%. And today, right now, we're about 6.45 is the current Fannie Mae market rate, and you can get better rates than that if you have deals and talking to Gustavo, and there's buy downs. But the market overall came down about 0.25% today, even though the Fed raised rates. So What's all that about?
Yeah, because they're raising what is the Fed fund rate, right? So that Fed fund rate does not affect mortgages directly. That affects more your credit cards, your car loans, short-term debt, right? HELOCs. So that's an interest rate that will affect that. We follow more the 10-year treasuries, so it's longer term debt. It's the 10-year, right? So that is really heavy by that it really is impacted by the inflation numbers. So last week we got some inflation numbers. They were better. They keep going down a little bit. Chaos in the banking industry. People flock to safer investments, bonds. That's always good for mortgages. So the rates have been coming down. Even today was a really good day because of the announcement, even though that, like you said, the Fed fund rate goes up 25 basis points, but mortgage rates come down. So that is to show exactly what I would just mention. Just because they're raising the Fed fund rate does not mean that your mortgage rates are going to go up by 25 basis points. It's more correlated with the 10-year and with inflation. Those are the ones that we have to watch more for the mortgage rates to see what happens.
And I think it also means that mortgage rates are a longer term investment, whereas the Fed rate, the overnight rate, the stock market are much more short-term investments, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And they're trying to do that. They're trying to stop lending and do that in the short term here to be able to help the overall inflation in the economy. So that's why your credit cards, HELOCs, car loans, 3 years, 5-year loans, those kinds of things get affected a lot more than your 10-year. So that's what you're going to see. I was even taking a look at some of the major news, and of course, the major headline was, rates are going up 25%, 25 basis points, and people are going to think that it's mortgage rates, but it's not. That is a different rate that's going up.
Different animal.
Yeah.
Mortgage rates and the Fed fund rate is a different animal.
Correct.
I think also it's different based on the local market you're in, meaning if you're in a market that is being adjusted right now, they had tremendous heat on the growth side. Boise, Idaho comes to mind, Austin, Texas, Las Vegas, Austin. Those markets are correcting. They're giving back some of the losses. So you see headlines, values dropped 25%. Well, they went up 100%.
Mhm.
They came down 25%. They're still way ahead of the game of where they were pre-pandemic. I think that's the
Yeah.
key thing is you want to compare. All businesses right now are pegging their numbers to the pre-pandemic as what the normal should be. The
Yeah.
pandemic, the global pandemic, once a lifetime event by definition, is a once a lifetime kind of event.
Yeah.
And so when you look at housing values, on my YouTube channel, I put a lot of video about bad information from press, and they'll show these graphs. Oh, this is the worst in the last 3 years. Right. We're going back to normal, just like toilet paper stock is the worst it's been in 3 years, or really the best has been 3 years, I guess, more of it. But the point is we're going back to normal. And I think that that's a good thing. It should be a relief for us. There's still these adjustments in the economy as we try to work our way back to normal. I'll share with you a story. And Gustav, you can appreciate this. Mm-hmm. So I have a client who I sold a property to years ago, who sent me an email on Saturday. Hey, Bill, I'd like to write an offer on this property. I'm leasing a property and it's going on the market, and I'd like to buy it. And this is a substantial buyer who's leasing a house that's worth about $1.2 million in South Orange County. And what is my spam? So he emailed me again on Tuesday saying, hey, I didn't hear back from you, or I'm sorry, on Monday. Didn't hear back from you, but I have an old email address. I know this is the new one you use. And same thing, here's the property. So I call him back and we talk about it, and it's in Huntington Beach, $1.2 million, which is kind of a normal price for a 4-bedroom, kind of standard tract home in Huntington Beach. It's not, anything really fancy. There's no ocean view. It's not walking distance to the beach. It's just a house somewhere in the city, but it's nice. Mm-hmm. And so we talked a little bit. I gave him some ideas on the value and what you should do. And I gave him 2 recommendations. One was get pre-approved now, because like every buyer, he's looking at the house. He hasn't even started with a lender, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, even though this guy's very well qualified, is worth a fortune, probably could pay cash for it. Still, you can't buy it without the pre-approval letter or proof of cash, one of the two. And second, I said to him, if you're going to write an offer, write right away. You can always negotiate when you're in escrow, but you can't get an escrow if you're not in escrow. And the next thing he got back to me, he said, well, actually, I already went into escrow. So what's the moral of the story? And this house was on the market less than a week. So the moral of the story is, if you're looking, get pre-approved so you can move right away. And second, get your game plan together, because if you find what you like, write the offer, get in the game. You can't get in the game if you're not in the game, right? Yeah. And so anyhow, Gustavo, I'm sure you're going to agree with that, right? Get pre-approved ahead of time.
Yeah, no, definitely. The pre-approval process, there's times when I'll go back to the buyer and I'll say, well, here's your qualifying income. And they're like, well, no, that doesn't make sense. I make this much right now. Look at my paycheck. And it's like, no, I get it. But, you got an hourly or variable income, what they call that, non-salary. And because of that, last year was very different and they're averaging out. So there's all these little things that we have to do and the lenders are going to do in order to qualify you. So, that's where you need to call someone like myself, help you out and make sure that you're pre-approved and you've gone through the steps, so that when you go out there and you see a house, you move on it. You're going to be able to make that offer. And then, there's a lot of other things too that you can negotiate, as Bill mentioned. I always mention, I can do shorter escrows, we can do quick turnarounds on that. So there's a lot of things now that are starting to kind of come back in order to win that home.
But you can't do it unless you are prepared.
Right, exactly. By the time you get ready, because sometimes I ask them, I go, well, if you don't have this information, can you give me your taxes from last year? Well, they have to go dig those up, right? Those are not readily available, and it takes 2-3 days to get them that.
Or, they aren't ready yet because they have some sort of a major issue and they're working on with the accountant and they're waiting on something, so now that, well, you're not going to get the loan unless you are. I mean, there's ways to work around different problems. And so let's get started on that right away and find a proper solution for you. So.
Yeah. And also too, the big thing too, that I'm coming up across the last 2 or 3 weeks was the payment scenario. So, They have good income, they make money, right? And we look at it and say, here's where I can qualify you up to. And they're like, wow, that's a big payment, you know. I wasn't expecting that much, you know. Maybe they were expecting a different idea of it. So it's a good realization of where your payment is going to be, so that you know whether you're going to be moving forward or not, you know. So a lot of times, yes, the whole idea sounds great, and it's a great move to do so. But when you're starting to see the payment, and you got, you know, maybe there's a baby coming on, you know, and all these different things, it all has to do with your lifestyle and what you're ready to do. So that's why I like to, like you said, we put a plan together and we make things visible, so that then you can make the decision.
Right. And that's the biggest challenge I find buyers miss out. I've never had a buyer tell me, oh, I'm really sorry. I planned ahead. I got my paperwork done. I got
Yeah.
pre-approved. You know, I was ready to move. I've never had a customer ever in my entire life tell me that was a waste of time. I've had
Yeah.
numerous, like this one, maybe miss out. And, you know, we all can say, well, it's not a big deal. I don't really need it that badly. Okay. But if you don't prepare, you don't get the choice.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell yourself you're okay with it, but it's like everything else in life. But what else are you giving up because you're not putting the work in? And I think that these are, if it's something you want to do, these are major financial opportunities, major financial markers in our lives. And so I always say that I'd rather do the extra work and be ready. And in my experience, it always pays off. I've never not seen it pay off in my experience. So
Yeah. And you know, and also too, there's I think I saw some numbers about people's belief of what home purchasing is, and they thought, you know, there's still a large number of them that believe that you need 20% down. There's still a large number of them that are looking for, oh, I need to wait until my credit score is above 700. You know, there's this idea still out there. So there's programs that go down to 580, even below, right? FHA, there's 3% down payment, there's 0% for our veterans, right? So there's a great opportunity of things out there. There's down payment assistance programs. I'm working right now with a couple and trying to make sure that we can get a down payment assistance program for them if they qualify for it. So there's a lot of different things out there, but it takes time, right? You're not going to be able to just get a down payment assistance program right away today. You know, we have to go through the application, we have to go ahead and submit for it. So plan ahead, get that ready, so that when you do have the house, you know you already have the program for that.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had, and to the point of 20% down, I literally have a listing I took last week and got an offer yesterday that is at 95% on a condo. And this is a sharp buyer's agent. He's actually a team leader at an office, and his lender and the pre-approval letter and their cash, and they were all ready to go. And it's always, as a listing agent or as a seller, you always rather have a cash offer or a larger down payment. But if you're going to put 5% down and you have your package put together, I called the lender, interviewed him, he responded on the phone, a couple of technical mistakes they made on their pre-approval. He acknowledged them, he corrected them the next day. Well, that shows me we can work together. Right. And I think that's the key thing is you want to be, it's not even just the numbers and the fees. It's, you got to sell the listing agent that they're going to want to work with you and that you're going to close and they're going to get paid at the end of the day. Because if I don't get paid, my client doesn't get paid, you know, my client's pissed. I can't afford to have that happen. I have to, you know, eliminate that possibility. And so you want to have your paper together and you want to have a lender, like Gustavo, who's going to fight for you to get this deal in and approved and ready to go, and to get you what you want.
Yeah, and believe me, it's through. You mentioned fighting. It is through the underwriting process, through the appraisal process. You know, through all these things, because things will come up. And on my side, it's my job to make sure, you know, I work for you as the buyer. So my side is make sure that the underwriter is interpreting and is going by the guidelines, and we're going correctly, and we don't have additional unnecessary conditions, or that the appraisal came in low. Well, what's going on there? You know, what do we need to show for revisions? You know, we look at comps as well. So there's a lot of things on our side that we invest a lot of behind the scenes work whenever a condition comes out, and you want to make sure that as you talk to someone, that they are going to be, you know, on your team, that they are working very close to with your agent, because ultimately it does take, you know, 2-3 people on this whole process to be able to get you that house.
Okay, so we didn't mention Patricia, did we?
I think we did in the beginning. The shoot, even though it was raining, she's not doing the home inspection.
Okay, did we miss her? Did we determine?
I think we did in the beginning.
Okay, Gustavo missed you, sounds like. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think that over a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
We miss her. We love Patricia. She's fantastic. Okay, so let's wrap up. Gustavo, last words. What's upcoming that you may be worried about the upcoming market? I don't know. I see a drop in the rates of about a little over 1/4%. I say, hey, if you're thinking of buying a house, get pre-approved. Let's get a rate lock and get you shopping. What do you say?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The next couple months, I think we will continue to see a slowly the rate coming down as inflation numbers come up. These hikes that are happening ultimately will help inflation, which ultimately will help the rate. We'll have more people coming into the market as the rate keeps dropping. So definitely get pre-approved, be ready, know your finances, know how much you can put down, and then make sure that you're ready to go house shopping. Even if it's raining.
Even if it's raining, rain or shine, we're like the post office. We're here working.
Yeah.
And I would say the other part I always say is you always want to work with great people. I
Yeah.
know as a listing agent, I love working with great lenders. I love working with great agents, great escrows, great tellers, and I hate working with the rest. But I do every day. 80% of them, I'd say, are below. It's funny, half are below average mathematically, 80% seem below average. In life, the top 10% is definitely where you want to be. So that's where I'm at. That's where Patricia is. That's where Gustavo is.
Yeah,
if you're watching this, we're here to help you. We do this every Wednesday, 5 p.m. We live stream it on YouTube and Facebook. And see us next week. Gustavo, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Patricia, miss you.